Today I'm going to show you my favorite way to make glazed ham. A lot of you will be celebrating this weekend and ham dinners are on the menu. I will also show you how to make a potato side dish that goes perfect with glazed ham. I'll be showing you how to make cheesy hash brown casserole and a simple roasted asparagus. This is going to be so good. Here we go. I'm going to show you my favorite way to make ham. I use this method every holiday season. Now I know it's not the holidays, but I do this year round to freezer prep ham. I love to serve this for dinner, put it in recipes, or just to make ham sandwiches because it's so good. And the best part is that I'm cooking this in the slow cooker. So this alleviates having to use the oven, especially if you are creating your big holiday dinner. It's so good and so easy to make. Here we go. Okay, holiday ham, even though it's not the holidays. Here I'm working with, this is 7.96, so an 8-pound bone-in smoked ham. And this does say it is fully cooked, bone-in, and I actually prefer this type of ham over pre-sliced spiral cut hams because it stays so juicy and tender. It does not dry out. So this is my preference for working with ham. So I want to show you how I prepped this ham. This was actually a fully trimmed ham. As you can see, this was trimmed off. That's the way it came in the package. But typically with these bone-in hams, it has like this thick outer skin that stays on the top of the ham. You'll want to remove that. I'm just going to go in, not very deep, and you're going to just cut, cut across. So as you can see, that's kind of what you're looking for, this like cross hatch scoring of your ham. And I didn't go very deep. You don't want to like cut into it too deep, but you just want to be able to have a lot of flavor kind of go into the ham. This is why you want to do that. I'm going to put these here. I'm just going to take a clove, and push it right into the exterior of the ham. And you can separate it by like 2 inches. You don't have to, and if you just want to do like the top, depending the clove flavor, but this is so aromatic. Look, that's the bone. Okay, so I'm going to take my cherries, open that up, and just pour the juice. Same thing for my pineapples. And I did not buy the pineapples that came in the syrup. You want to make sure, well, at least for the recipe that I use, it's in the natural juices. I'll tell you what, I got to be careful, but there we go. Just pour that in there like this. Okay, so for the brown sugar, this is 1.5 cups of brown sugar. To that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And at this point, you could add the 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves, but because I'm using whole cloves, I'm just going to skip that part. Now I'm just going to give this a good mix in the tiniest bowl ever. Let's switch this up. This makes it a lot, this will make it a lot easier with a bigger bowl. Okay. And I'm going to coat this after I add the wet part of the glaze. So give that a good mix and it's done. Okay, now for the honey mustard portion of this glaze, I'm going to empty an entire 8-ounce jar or bottle of honey right into the bowl. Okay, so now we're going with like 4 ounces of this coarse green mustard. It's like half this bottle. I think I'm going to add just a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon into the mix. Now you're just going to give this a really good mix. And this is just part of the coating and glaze of this ham. It's thick, and when you pour it over the ham, the brown sugar adheres a lot better to it. I want to show you what I did is when I took my ham out of the package, I rinsed it in cold water, and you'll want to make sure you dry it off. So remember that reserved pineapple juice and cherry juice? I'm going to just pour that on the bottom. I'm not going to pour it on the ham. And don't worry about that because I like to reserve the liquids and glaze at the bottom of the slow cooker. Because you dried the exterior of the ham, this is going to help the glaze stick a lot better. And you just pour it on the top. Now you're going to go in with your brown sugar. I'll tell you what, I'll do it with my hand. And just coat the top of the ham. I'm going to place my pineapples on top. Add the cherry in the center with a toothpick to kind of hold the pineapple in place. There we go. I'll do one on this side. And you're gonna just right in the center. And I'm just gonna add that right all around, just like that. My prepped ham ready to go in my slow cooker. So all I'm going to do is cover it with a lid. Thankfully it fits, barely. And I'm gonna set this on high. I'm cooking this on high for about 2 to 3 hours. And if you set it to low, it's somewhere between 4 to 6. You'll want to make sure the internal temperature of your ham reaches 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a saying when people cook in a slow cooker or crock pot. If you're looking, you're not cooking. And what that means is if you keep lifting the lid and checking on the food that's being cooked, it's going to prolong the cook time because the crock pot has to come back up to temperature once you put the lid back on to start cooking again. So for that reason, I'm not going to lift the lid and baste the ham. Now, you definitely can, maybe once or twice throughout the cook process, but no more than that. But for that reason, I'm not going to baste it, and that's okay. Don't worry about the liquids getting into the meat and the ham. It's very aromatic, it's very flavorful, and what I like to do is after the ham is cooked, I like to slice it, remove the liquid, and reduce it on the stovetop. So when I serve the ham, I ladle over the hot, sweet, and smoky liquid over the ham. It's so good. And this is why I love this method. It's no fuss. You don't have to lift the lid and baste it. It's going to be flavorful and so good. Okay, so let's check our ham. It has been like 3 hours, close to 3 hours. And it smells amazing, and I didn't even have to baste it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just shut off that, turn that off, and I'm going to carefully remove it, put it on a baking sheet, and let it rest for about 30 to 45 minutes before I slice into it. And the rest of this at the bottom, I could just keep it going in the slow cooker. Actually, I think that's what I'll do. I'll keep this on high and I'll let the juices and syrupy glaze just keep boiling and cooking down. Okay, so here is the ham on my baking sheet. It's very heavy to take out. I use like 2 metal chopsticks to kind of lift it up and put it on the baking sheet. So left in my crock pot are the cherries. I'm going to remove the cherries. You can leave them in there, but I'm going to quickly cover this and just let this simmer, and it'll reduce a little bit. Instead of, you know, getting a pot dirty, I'll let it keep going in the crock pot. And they did their job. This ham, if you can smell how wonderful and aromatic the glaze is, or the ham is, it's so wonderful. Okay, so I'm probably missing some of these little cloves here, but I want to slice into it, and I'm using my favorite ham knife here. I'm gonna turn this around. Clean hands work best. And let's see, let's just slice into it. There we go. So that was a thin slice, but here we are. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so here, this has definitely reduced. It's simmering. It's perfect. So I'm going to shut off the heat. And this is what I like. This is what I like to serve. Let's just move that around. And you'll probably want to use like a fat separator. But here we go. Right on top. And it's so good. Holiday ham, freezer prep, call it what you want. It's so good. Okay, That ham looked amazing. Now I'm going to show you how to make this delicious, creamy, and cheesy hash brown casserole. It truly is a perfect potato side. I'm starting with, this is a 1 pound 14 ounces. 30 ounces of shredded hash browns. You could also use the like cubed hash browns. I'll also be using 8 ounces of Colby Jack cheese. You could use cheddar cheese or the cheese of your choice. I'll be adding a 12 fluid ounce can of evaporated milk, cream of chicken soup. You can sub that with cream of mushroom, cream of celery, whatever you like. 1 large egg. Here I have 6 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, dried parsley, some smoked paprika, granulated garlic powder, granulated onion powder. I'm going to be adding about 8 ounces of sour cream. Here I have some pepper, salt to taste, and it's going to be good. Oh, and I'm also going to be using like a 9 by 13 baking dish. And I already have it buttered with like a tablespoon or 2 of butter. So the first thing I'm going to do to make life easier, I'm going to add my evaporated milk into this large measuring cup. And I'm going to add my cracked large egg, or my large egg, not cracked. And now I'm just going to give it a mix. I just think this is just an easier way to mix and evenly distribute the egg. Okay, so here I have, these are frozen. Well, they've been sitting on my counter for a little bit, but I am working with semi-frozen shredded hash browns. I'm gonna start adding all of my ingredients. Just put it all into the bowl. So here I have my can of condensed cream of chicken soup. Like I stated earlier, you can use cream of mushroom in place of this. Whatever cream of condensed soup that you like, use that. I'm going with the chicken. Okay. I'm also going to use 8 ounces of sour cream going in. This is the rest of my container. Okay. I'll go ahead and add my egg evaporated milk mixture. I'm putting it everywhere. Now I'm going in with my seasonings and salt and what have you. So a half teaspoon of granulated onion powder works for this. If you want a full, maybe I'll go with the full teaspoon. I like it. The same thing, a half teaspoon to a full teaspoon of garlic, granulated garlic powder. Like a 1/4 teaspoon to a half teaspoon of smoked paprika. I'm going to go in with some dried parsley. Here I have some cracked black pepper, like a 1/4 teaspoon to a half teaspoon. Let's see here. I'm going to go in with a half teaspoon of salt. And before I forget my ingredient here, my 6 tablespoons of melted butter. Now I'm just going to give everything a really good mix. And then I will add some cheese, but I'm going to mix this first. I want this to be mixed really well. It smells great already. Now for the cheese. I'm going to add just a handful, maybe a cup of cheese into the hash browns. And then the rest of the cheese is going to go on the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just place my hash browns into my baking dish. And actually I have such, this is kind of heavy. And I'm working with a buttered 9 by 13 baking dish. That's what you'll want to work with when making this. And if I'm working with 30 ounces of shredded hash browns, if you got like the 2-pound bag, that also works for this recipe. It's just a little extra, 2 more ounces of shredded hash browns. Okay, spread this out. The cheese goes on top. I'm going to bake this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for
probably 55 to 60 minutes because you're working with frozen hash browns. If they're not frozen, the cook time will vary. Now, I'm going to do covered for about 35 minutes, and then the rest of the cook time, I'm going to uncover it so it sort of gets a cheese crust. There we go. I'll do the best I can here to spread it out. And I love these cheesy hash browns as a holiday side or just any regular day when I'm making roasted chicken. So good. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to bake this covered. It's going to take about an hour of cook time at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. But I am going to uncover it at some point so I can get a cheese crust. But you don't have to. You can just keep it covered the entire time. Okay, see you in an hour. Okay, so it's been halfway through the cook time. I'm actually trying not to burn myself. I'm gonna carefully remove this and just let it continue cooking. I really want the cheese to kind of get bubbly and brown on top. Okay, so this is done. Okay. Be careful, sorry. Okay, I think I could just swim in this. Well, not now because I'd burn myself, but you'll want to let this set before you cut into it, or you can just cut into it and burn yourself, but it's going to be good. I have over here some chopped fresh parsley and chives, and that's what I'm going to garnish this with, and it's going to be good. And I did achieve a really nice little crusty area around the edges, a little bit on the top, so that's great. And it was a full hour because these were frozen. So 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 full hour worked for this. Okay, so I love a good hash brown casserole. But right now I'm going to show you how to make this easy roasted asparagus. I've got 2 bunches of cleaned, trimmed, and rinsed asparagus. Now I'm going to add avocado oil. Use the cooking oil you prefer. I'm just going to drizzle this all over the asparagus. It's probably about 2 tablespoons. Now I'm going in with this garlic salt herb blend. You can just use regular garlic salt, and I'm going to sprinkle that all over. It's probably about a half teaspoon to a full teaspoon. I'm also going to be adding some granulated onion powder. Again, start with a half teaspoon. I'm eyeballing things. This is what makes it so easy in my house. It's just seasoning how I like. Here I have salt-free lemon pepper, and I think it's important to mention that I am using salt-free lemon pepper. If you have other lemon pepper blends, sometimes they have salt. Here I'm going to add my favorite ingredient, smoked paprika. It just goes so well with roasted vegetables. I'm going to sprinkle that on, and then I'm going to give it a shake and then a mix with my clean hands. And I am going to be roasting this in a preheated oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes, or until you reach the desired doneness of your asparagus. My asparagus is done, so now I'm going to remove it from the oven, and it's ready to be a wonderful, delicious side. I'm going to serve this alongside my holiday ham dinner, which is such a quick and easy side to add to any meal. I also like to roast broccolini this way. It's really simple and good. Okay, so I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday dinner. I'm definitely making my favorite glazed ham in the slow cooker. I'm also going to be making my cheesy, delicious hash brown casserole, which is a family favorite. I probably could make this ham and hash brown casserole all year long, not just for holiday weekends or the season. So I hope you give these recipes a try. I hope you like them, and thanks for watching.